Well, my brothers and sisters, it's that time of the year again. February, African American History Month. So let's talk about the top 10 inventions by African Americans. Shall we start the countdown? When asked to name an African American inventor, many people might think of George Washington Carver and peanut butter. The two have gone as well together as peanut butter and jelly in many history textbooks, but it's actually a myth that Carter came up with peanut butter. Carter's fascination with the peanut began when he was convincing Southern farmers to adopt his method of crop rotation instead of growing cotton every year, which was depleting the soil. Carver urged farmers to alternate cotton with legumes, which provided nutrients to the soil. The farmers obligated, but they had no way to sell all those peanuts. Carver went into the laboratory to come up with products that would make peanut marketable. Carter is credited with devising more than 300 different uses for peanut butter, including dye, soap, coffee, and ink. And his innovation provided the South with an important crop. But peanut butter wasn't one of his ideas. Beyond George Washington Carter, though, many people aren't familiar with black inventors. So we considered 12 more notable inventions accredited to African American inventors. What about the potato chip? You know we love that. This snack comes courteous of George Crumb, Crum. No chef likes to hear that his or her work has been rejected, but George Crumb was able to make magic out of one man discontent. In 1853, Crumb was working as a chef at a resort in Saratoga Springs, NYA. Customers sent his dish of French fries back to the kitchen, claiming they were too thick, too mushy, and not salty enough. Crumb, in an irritated fit, cut the potatoes as thinly as possible, fried them until they were burnt crisp, and threw a generous handful of salt on top. He sent the plate out to the customer, hoping to teach the phantom a thing or two about complaining. However, the customer loved the crisp chips, and soon the dish was one of the most popular things on the menu. In 1860, when Crumb opened up his own restaurant, every table received a bowl of chips. Crumb never patented his invention, nor was he the one who bagged them and began selling them in grocery stores. But junk food lovers the world over still have him to thank for this crunch. Next, multiplex telegraph. Imagine landing a plane without the help of air traffic controllers. These controllers advise pilots on how to navigate takeoffs and landings without colliding with other planes. Now I wonder how did they do that back when the planes were created and they didn't have traffic controllers back then. Okay. Grant T. Woods invented the device that allowed train dispatchers to do the same thing in 1887. Wood's invention is called the multiplex telegraph, and it allowed dispatchers and engineers at various stations to communicate with moving trains via telegraph. Conductors could also communicate with their counterparts on other trains. Prior to 1887, train collisions were a huge problem, but Wood's device helped make train travel much easier. Wood also received a patent for a steam boiler furnace for trains, as well as for an apparatus that combined the power of telephone and the telegraph. Look at what we have here. Shoelacing machines. Hmm. Jan Matzeliger was born in 1852 in Suriname. When he was 21, he traveled to the United States. Though he spoke no English, he got a job as an apprentice in a shoe factory in Massachusetts. At the time, the shoe industry was held captive by skilled craftsmen known as hand lasters. The hand lasters had the hardest and most technical job on the shoe assembly line. They had to fit shoe leather around a mold of a customer's foot and attach it to the sole of a good hand laster could complete about 50 pair of shoes a day, and because the work was so skilled, hand lasters were paid very large salaries, which made shoes very expensive to produce. Matt Zeliger got tired of waiting for the laster to do their job because they worked so slowly. There were huge backups on the assembly line. He went to night school to learn English so that he could read books about science and manufacturing. He had no money, so he constructed models from spare parts and scraps. After years of study, he produced a shoe lasting machine, which produced between 150 to 700 pairs of shoes a day. To the hand lasters 50, Messenger died at a young age of emphysema, but he left a legacy of more affordable shoes for the general public. Isn't that amazing? Number 6, automatic oil cup. Even if you never heard of the automatic oil cup, you probably heard the phase that entered the lexicon because of it. The automatic oil cup was the invention of Elijah McCoy, who was born in 1843 to parents who had escaped slavery via the Underground Railroad. McCoy was sent to Scotland for school, and he returned as a master mechanic and engineer. However, the job opportunity for a black man, no matter how educated, was limited. The only work McCoy could find was with the Michigan Central Railroad. McCoy's job was to walk along the train that pulled into the station, oiling the moving parts by hand. McCoy recognized that a person wasn't necessary for this job, and he invented the automatic oil cup, which would lubricate the train's axles and bearings while the train was in motion. As a result, trains didn't have to stop as frequently, which cut down on costs, saved time, and improved safety. The oil cup was a huge success, and imitators began producing knockoffs. However, savvy engineers knew that McCoy's cup was the best. So when purchasing the parts, they asked for the real McCoy. And I guess that's how he got that phrase, the real McCoy. Number 5, carbon filament light bulbs. Oh, wow. Tom Edison often gets the credit for inventing the light bulb, but in reality, dozens of inventors were working to perfect commercial lighting. One of those inventors was Louis Latimer. Latimer was hired at a law firm that specialized in patents in 1868. While there, he taught himself mechanical drawings and was promoted from office boy to draftsman. In his time at the firm, he worked with Alexander Graham Bell on the plans for the telephone. Latimer then began his foray into the world of light. Edison was working on a light bulb model with a paper filament. The filament is the thin fiber that the electric current heats to produce light. In Edison's experiment, the paper would burn down in 15 minutes or so, rendering the bulb unrealistic for practical use. It was Latimer who created the light bulb model that used a carbon filament which lasted longer and made light bulb production cheaper. Because of Latimer's innovation, more people could afford to light their homes. Latimer also received patents for a water closet on railroad cars and a predecessor to the modern air conditioner. There were some black talented men in the past. Walker Hair Care System. Sarah Breedlove was born in 1867. She was an orphan at age 8, a wife at 14, a mother at 17, and a widow at 19. Breedlove supported her family for 18 years as a laundress, but in the early 1900s, she reinvented herself as Madam C.J. Walker, creator of the Walker Hair Care System. Breedlove had suffered extreme hair loss, which was common for black women of the time due to scalp disease. bad diet, damaging hair products, and infrequent washing. She claimed to pray to God for assistance and purported that a man appeared to her in a dream with the recipe for pomade that would regrow and settle her hair. The pomade worked for her and for other women she knew, so she began marketing her wonderful hair growers. Madam C.J. Walker, as we know her today, method of selling her hair care system was just as innovative as the system itself. She was one of the first people that to use direct sales. She hired women to serve as door-to-door salespeople, and she taught them how to use all of the products in a university she founded. Madam C.J. Walker was believed to be the first female millionaire, though records later showed that she was about 400,000 short. Still, the former Sarah Breedlove amassed quite a fortune for her time, much of her which she donated to the YMCA and the NAACP. Now tell me that is not tidy. Number 3, the blood bank. Charles Richard Drew already had an MD and a Master's of Surgery degree when he went to Columbia University in 1938 to earn a Bachelor's of Medical Science degree. While there, he began or became interested in researching the preservation of blood. Drew discovered a method of separating red blood cells from plasma and then storing the two components separately. This new process allowed blood to be stored for more than a week, which was the maximum at that time. The ability to store blood, or as Drew called it, banking the blood, for longer periods of time meant that more people could receive transfusions. Drew documented these findings in a paper that led to the first blood bank. After completing his study, Drew began working with the military. First, he supervised blood preservation and delivery in World War II, and then he set up a blood bank for the United States Army and Navy that served as the model for blood banks today. However, Drew resigned his position because the Army forces, instead of separating blood by race and providing white soldiers with blood donated from white people, Drew knew that race made no difference in blood composition, and he felt that this unnecessary segregation would cost too many lives. 2, we're talking about the 10 top inventions by Black African Americans. Number 2, protective mailbox. When you drop a letter in a public mailbox, you expect it to reach its destination safely and in good condition. Before 19, or should I say 1891, people using the United States mail couldn't make those kinds of assumptions. Public mailboxes were semi-open, which made it easy for thieves to steal mail and for elements like rain and snow to damage mail. Philip B. Downing changed that with a mailbox design that featured an outer door and an inner safety door. When the outer door was open, the safety door remained closed so the mail was safe from thieves and inclement weather. When the outer door closed, the safety door would open so that the deposited mail would join the other letters in the box. This safety device was the precursor for the public mailbox we see today. Isn't that amazing? Last but not least, number one, the gas mask. And here is a modern version of it. Garrett Morgan only received a sixth grade education, but he was observational and a quick learner. While working as a handyman at the turn of the 20th century, he taught himself how sewing machines worked so that he could open up his own shop, selling new machines and repairing broken ones. While trying to find a fluid that would polish needles, Morgan happened upon a formula that would straighten human hair. His first invention. Morgan went on to save countless lives with his next two inventions. Troubled by how many firefighters were killed by smoke on the job, Morgan developed what he called the safety hood. The hood, which went over the head, featured tubes connected to wet sponges that filtered out smoke and provided fresh oxygen. This primitive gas mask became a sensation in 1916 when Morgan ran to the scene of a tunnel explosion and used his invention to save the lives of trapped workers in 1923. As automobiles were becoming more common, Morgan went on to develop an early prototype of the traffic signal after seeing too many collisions. 12. Let me add Valerie Thomas is an African American physicist and mathematician. She is the inventor of the illusion transmitter, improving television screens, as well as a lead project manager for one of NASA's most utilized technology, Landsat satellite series, which serves the purpose of capturing images from outer space and transmit them back to NASA for analyzing. Now, what a job. And we're going to do one more. Dr. Vivian Thomas, heart surgeon, inventor, medical pioneer, found out about him from the HBO movie Something the Lord Made. This is Dr. Vivian Thomas, heart surgery inventor. He is considered a medical pioneer. He is in a rare group of doctors who have had movies made about them. His is titled Something the Lord Made. I was interested and curious about everything that went on in the laboratory. The interest and curiosity still remains with me. Vivian T. Thomas, August 1910. Vivian Theodore Thomas, surgical technician and animal surgeon, was born in New Iberville, Louisiana. The Vivian Thomas Fund at the Johns Hopkins School of Medicine. Vivian Theodore Thomas, August, in African American history. And I want to thank you. We were 12 inventions by African American. And I pray you have a happy African American. Celebrate it, won't you? Pastor Catherine, signing out.